Greetings and salutations, YouTubers. This is ZillaFan85, back today with my latest video, my latest figure review. Today, definitely a bit of a treat for you. We're going to go ahead and take a look at my Trendmasters Mothra figure. Definitely really cool thing to note here. Once I did, when I was younger and actually did start branching out and getting more of the kaiju, from the Godzilla universe, she was actually one of the first that I got. Now, I mean, my first two, kaiju figures were Godzilla and King Kong. I have a couple different versions of Godzilla at that point, and then I had, I had the Mattel Godzilla's Gang version, and then the Imperial one. And the same time that I got the Imperial Godzilla, I got the Imperial King Kong. I remember getting those at Toys R Us back when I was like 6 years old, I'd say. And the Mattel Godzilla's Gang one I got when I was 5, so it was like the year prior to that, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But then, of course, in 1994, a few years later, that's when Trendmasters came around and started releasing their Godzilla King of the Monsters line, where they not only had Godzilla, but they had, a handful of other kaiju that they released at that point. And I remember seeing that commercial when I was a kid and really getting ecstatic about it, and, excited to see that they were actually releasing other monsters from the Godzilla universe, and of course wanting to get them. My mom surprised me one day. She got me Mothra here and King Ghidorah, so I was super ecstatic. So like I said, so she was one of the first. So branching out aside from Godzilla and Kong, it was her and King Ghidorah, so that was absolutely awesome. So just kind of a little bit of backstory there, and of course, I started getting more of the Trendmasters figures from that point on. So, but let's go ahead, we're going to jump into it. The first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at the trader card that she came packaged with in her blister pack here. Obviously, I don't have any of the packaging anymore, but still really awesome, though, nonetheless. So you see you got the Godzilla King of the Monsters, copyright 1994, and of course, Mothra trademark with a nice little money shot of Mothra here. Nice little stylized design, very awesome, very indicative of Trendmasters. Really cool card. And then, of course, you got the back, the Mothra, and of course, the Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then, of course, the Mothra trademark there, Trendmasters and Toho, and then a nice little read up on Mothra. So you got the little backstory, and then you got stats, and this was just something that Trendmasters did with all these cards. So really cool. So if you guys want to pause it and potentially read up on that, and you can. But nonetheless, really cool. So go ahead and jump into the figure itself with the paint and the detail here. So this is the bendable version. They had a couple different, they had like the hard plastic versions, and then they had the bendable figures. For Mothra, King Ghidorah, and a couple of the others, I have the bendable ones. So just keep that in mind. The hard plastic one is a little bit different. But you got really nice paint and detail here on the wings. It's kind of the one big thing right off the bat that pops out. Got all the patterning, very indicative of Mothra's design. So even though these Trendmasters figures are known for being stylized designs of the Toho kaiju, still really well done, and this really does capture the essence of Mothra's signature wings here. You got the blacks and the yellows and the reds, even a little bit of orange here for those circle points there near the tips of the wings, front tips. You got the red patterning, stripe patterning here, like the feathery parts of the wings there. Really cool. Again, all the patterning there. the black and the yellow here, and then the red and the black there for the bottom part of the wings. Really, really awesome. Nice soft plastic on there. Again, more of that. You got the red mixed in with the white and some gray here for the body. I believe that the fur, if you will, should be more of like a brownish color, but I think, well, but I think though it does have some white in it as well. I'm just trying to remember, because this is these were like the 90s figures. This was supposed to be based off of the Heisei Mothra, I believe. So, but still, really cool nonetheless. And of course, you got the combo between the red and white stripes there on the sort of that thorax area. Some nice detailing, nice texturing here, and you can see like they sculpted like the fur and everything, so you guys can see that and all that nice detail. And then on the face, you got the white, and then you got that red dot in the center, and you got the nice blue for the eyes with the bug patterning, as you guys can see there, textured again very well. And you got the jaw here done in like a gray. So again, not really movie accurate, but still looks pretty good. Still got some nice detail. Of course, this is an older figure, so it's got some wear and tear on it, but still really nice nonetheless. And you got the little tusks there protruding out from the bottom of her face. Very, very awesome. Again, got more gray on the back here. And on these legs with like the yellow highlights done for the legs. The hard plastic ones, they actually have sculpted legs instead of just like this sort of just these protruding pieces here that they sort of made for the bendable version. You actually have like these yellow bird-like legs that they did for the hard plastic version, which I would have preferred, but I mean, it gets the job done, so I'm not going to complain too much, but very, very cool. And of course, you got more of the gray with that texturing lines and grooves there on the bottom part here. And of course, you got all the no paint on the bottom part of the wings, but you still got some of the patterning. You got the fur texturing there, and some of the lines and segments on the bottom part of the wings, just like I said, just minus the paint. And of course, you got like that stinger part, that tip part here, and the back end of her, the three-tipped stinger essentially, and that's done in this gray. Nice, all very soft to the touch, so obviously kid-friendly to play with. So believe me, I played the heck out of these toys growing up, so very, very awesome. I think that about covers it for the paint and the detail on her. As far as articulation, again, the bendable figures don't really have any points of articulation. There are like these bendy wires in the wings, so you can sort of flap them and whatnot. However, obviously, over the years, wear and tear, this wing has a bit of a tear in it, unfortunately. Again, like I said, I played with these a lot, so I'm not really going to move it too much, but you can like flap it, and you can, if the wire's not broken, you can kind of contort it in different directions. But, again, you just got to be careful. So you can see that little tear, but that's about it. Really not much else as far as articulation goes, so... But still really cool nonetheless. And like I said, at that point in time, not having any other Mothra figures, or not really many other kaiju period, it was great to be able to get, to get her and King Ghidorah, and then build the line from there. I got Mecha Godzilla, and eventually Rodan, etc., etc. And Godzilla actually came a couple of years later on, believe it or not. But still, just really, really cool. So as far as sizing goes... So I've got my ruler here. Now we're going to kind of have to measure. So let's try to measure the body there. So about from tips about the antenna and the jaw down the back, so you guys can see. And that's roughly, I know it's a little bit hard to see, it's roughly about 3.5 inches lengthwise. But if you want to measure like wing to wing, you guys can see that. And that's a bit of a bigger span there. That's about 4.5 inches or so, I would say, from tip of the wing to tip of the wing there. So, and I think a lot of times that's what they kind of measure is the wingspan for her. But it's pretty much in line for what you would expect. Mothra in the Heisei era was, a bit smaller than Godzilla. But let's go ahead and just as a size comparison, I have my Trendmasters Godzilla out. And you can see the way that they stack up to each other. Again, she is a bit shorter than him, but her wingspan more than makes up for it, of course. So, and you can just kind of see the way that they look next to each other. Lift the camera up for you guys a bit. Actually look pretty darn good next to each other. So these Trendmasters figures, they're smaller figures, but they are meant to, scale with each other. So very, very awesome. Okay, and otherwise, as far as pricing goes, well, again, these are vintage figures. Some of the ones in the line are more rare, and they're going to be more difficult to come by. However, ones like Mothra, Godzilla, some of the other kaiju are a little bit more readily available. When I've looked, mainly you're going to check on eBay and stuff like that. You could possibly find them at, flea markets if you're, lucky enough. But if you're going to look online, like I said, eBay is probably your best bet. I usually see, like, Mothra here, I've usually seen around 20, maybe $30. I mean, when these were released, they were about $7. So obviously, being out of print and more rare nowadays, obviously it's going to cost you a bit more. But still, I'd say, especially for a vintage figure like this to add to your collection, if you're interested, really, really can't go wrong here. And I definitely do recommend it. Like I said, they're stylized designs, but they're cool to have. But other than that, though, folks, I think that does about wrap it up for this video. I would like to thank you so much for watching. If you would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. If you would like to like and or comment on any of my videos, please feel free to do so as well. And just remember, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, you be good to yourselves, and sayonara.